There's no way we're alone.
JJ, I'm going to mess with your head a little
Look at the
bit more,
faces.
right? So
This point of we living in a simulation. Simple question: who's the simulator?
What makes
Do
that?
we? Yeah, God.
I believe that.
Guys, don't forget to check out God's Cakes, inshallah. It's run by a Muslim brother and sister. Alhamdulillah, earn a halal income. Check it out, inshallah, if you're interested in trainers. They've got some sick stuff there and other stuff as well, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. We've got a very special video for you guys today on a special day. Yes, you've got the Dawah men reacting to Sidemen. We came across a very interesting video, brothers. So basically they are reacting to the universe. So they're seeing how, how big the earth is compared to the sun, compared to the galaxy, and galaxy within another galaxy, and all kinds of words are being used. Yeah. So they're reacting and they are quite amazed by this. And it's very interesting. I think you touched upon your video as well, is that, they do gaming, they do YouTube, but for them to put that aside and be like, hold on a second, actually, why we're here. So for them to look for their purpose brought us to this video, and we want to talk about the purpose of life. So let's react to this video, inshallah, brothers and sisters, and we are going to hear some interesting stuff from the Sidemen, and then we're going to hear interesting stuff from the Dawah men. Let's go.
Light years away from us. To put that into perspective, if it was heading in the right direction, it would still take Voyager 1 over 70,000 years to reach it. In other words, if you drove your car at 100 kilometers an hour like in our previous example to the moon, it would take over 6 times longer than the entire age of the universe is.
Stop the video, bro.
How does that, I don't understand. How does that exist? Where? What?
I was
Just the whole thing is just mental, isn't it? Really.
It is.
And like this, we can't be the only things. It's impossible. It has to be impossible. But
It's impossible. Well, no, it's not impossible.
It's impossible.
Scary.
I know, and that's the issue.
How scary is that?
Okay, so one thing that really caught my attention is their amazement. Like, all of them are just like, one's got his hands, one's like, what he says is like, we cannot be the only one here. The first thing that came to my mind, Hijab, that was like, for example, when we say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, or praise belong to the Lord of the whole universe. And I'm sure you know that the Mufassirun, like they say, for example, when this specific verse is talking about that there might be creatures that we know of and not know of. We know the jinn kind, we know of the mankind, but what else like, if you elaborate on that, when we say that?
Yeah, very much so. It could be that there are other life forms in the universe.
Yeah.
And I don't see why he found that was impossible. But yeah, I mean, that's certainly. And if it is the case, then the one who gave us life can give those creatures life as well.
Exactly.
The most important thing to know, I think, which is a point of incredulity, I think, where they were all kind of fascinated by it, is that how is it the case that we can have life form in the universe in the first place? How could there be life? What kind of universe does it have to be in order to facilitate life in the first place? And how hostile would it have been had it not been finely tuned in the way it is? These are the questions.
Let's carry on, inshallah.
4.5 billion years for us to pop up, and the chances of us popping up is like 1 in billions, given we don't know anywhere else.
Say 4.5 billion years.
Yeah.
So yeah, next week Mars just pop up like a little tadpole thing and go, yay. Mars
But
is
where?
dead.
But also how? We don't understand how that happens. How does it go from there's no life there to there's life there?
Here, Hijab, he goes, basically in the question is, why is there existence rather than no existence?
I think he's talking about life in particular.
The possibilities of life being here. And for example, the question is is referring to, it seems like, why is there even existence in the place in the first place?
One of the things that biologists and others talk about is something called abiogenesis, which is the beginning of life. And what the beginning of life actually is, if you think about it, is a movement from chemistry to biology. So you have these elements in the world. What happened in order to get life from lifelessness? Because the truth of the matter is, we've never seen it to be the case that you can get properties from something which doesn't have those properties. In other words, something which doesn't have life cannot endow life. In the case of chemistry, it can't give life because it's lifeless. So we say that in order for life to be given, it has to be given from a life giver.
Exactly.
And we say the life giver is the one who's all living. In this case, it's God, right?
Exactly. One thing that caught my attention here is that they talk about 4.6 billion years, and a lot of people, atheists that we speak to, agnostics, they talk about and they use time as a factor of something coming into existence. So we say, for example, if we have an empty glass of cup, argument's sake, time is irrelevant to that. If I said, okay, if we gave it 4.6 billion years, what's the chances I'll get a chocolate strawberry cheesecake with 4 strawberries on top of it?
Nice.
The time element is irrelevant, because some atheists use this and say, no, if you give it enough time, this will happen. Well, no, because the thing to make the chocolate, the ingredients to make the chocolate fudge cake with 4 strawberries is not there. What on earth has time got to do with it?
Right. So if you have lifelessness, in its existence, so for as long as you leave it there, it's always going to remain as lifelessness.
Exactly.
That's why, once again, the thesis, you got to think about it rationally, right? From induction, or even from abduction, inference to the best explanation. What makes more sense to you? This is the question people have to ask. That life was given by a life giver which has life, or that it was given or transferred from lifeless elements, which in this case would be chemistry.
And that's the best inference, like you said, the explanation is the best inference, It gets a bit bizarre because they actually laugh at this concept. Let's carry on. It gets really interesting.
He spans over 100,000 light years from end to end. There are over 100 billion stars and over 100 billion planets inside of our galaxy.
There's no way we're alone.
JJ, I'm going to mess with your head a little
Look at
bit
the
more,
faces.
right? So you know how you said that there has to be like other life, like we're just in the middle.
Yes.
Here's a theory for you. What if this is a simulation?
Oh, go away, Vic.
And what if they created this whole universe and they just put humans in a little bit of it? Like, let's see how far humans can go.
Okay, isn't it interesting that, and I find this very amazing when I speak to atheists, agnostics, and when we speak to them, is that, look at the options here, it's a simulation or there's aliens. How do you feel, Aki? You know when you hear that, like aliens or simulation, but nowhere do they fit in there the possibility of being a creator, like you said, How, like, what goes through your head, Aki, when you speak like atheists, or you hear atheists or debates and discussions, and somebody's like, it can be aliens, maybe they just put us here, maybe it's the Matrix, maybe it's a simulation.
It's like it's entertaining any other possibility, no matter how ludicrous it sounds, other than God. Why? Because we've been conditioned, whether it's from the Monty Python days or whether it's from the South Parks and the Family Guys or whatnot. Religion has constantly been bashed, and especially with how secular the media is becoming, especially BBC and the main broadcasters, and whether you've got these naturalists like David Attenborough and all these guys, they're all...
Well, like Richard Dawkins, who says, for example, the why question is a very silly question.
Sir, the why question is just a silly question.
You know, basically saying, be quiet. They accuse us of that as religious people, no? But they're like, oh, don't ask the why.
I would say it's because of social conditioning, in other words, that religion has been seen to be uncool. Aliens is cool. Simulation is cool because it's associated to movies. It's associated to theories presented by academics, even though if you actually look into it, certain academics, they are theists, like Isaac Newton, Galileo, a lot of these academics. In fact, the Principia Mathematica of Isaac Newton, Isaac Newton was a theist. So, but this sort of stuff.
Even Darwin, if you read his book, Darwin was like, yes, he had his moments, but you know, he was. Let's carry on.
One more thing on this. It's irrefutable to say, okay, now this point of we living in a simulation. Simple question: who's the simulator?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. Or even less with aliens.
What is the simulator?
Who created aliens?
It doesn't have to be a who, because they can say that's presupposing, personality.
Okay.
So what we're saying is that the thing is actually the simulation question. That actually is more religious than anything else. They think that they're getting out of things, they're getting into things. Because if you say it's a simulation,
then who's the simulator?
There's number one question: who or what is a simulator? So if you wanna believe in the simulation and you think it's a plausible option, then you're halfway there.
Exactly. And you know what, if you think about it, guys, people watching, as you're watching this, we need to finish video, you're going to understand that actually that is logical reasoning. But look what happens next. Play it, watch this.
See where humans can get to.
Look at this. This is the observable universe. This is what we can observe.
But we don't know. We don't know what the probability that life comes about is.
Yeah, we have no clue. We have nothing to go against.
The thing is, like, all we know is that there is life. We don't know where it came from, why it exists, or what it is. We don't. So what's to say that it could exist elsewhere? But also, we don't know what makes life. Everything else could be all dead. It could just be stuff. It could just be all like the rest of the solar system.
Just rock.
Just stuff. We don't know, and that's the mental thing.
We do know.
What makes life?
Yeah, God.
Right.
But
we don't know that. We don't know that.
I believe that.
You know what? I think I'd feel much more at ease if I believed that.
Ooh. good points here. Look, let's bear in mind the guy on the top right is a Christian. Yeah, he's made to feel a bit insecure, even though he's saying I believe that. He's laughing at it. Yeah, he shouldn't be laughing. He should be like, yeah, I believe that, and I think that's the best possible explanation. What I catch here is very interesting. Yeah, firstly they have this. We'll give them the benefit of doubt. They were just messing around, joking, etc. Yeah, but this whole concept of God being there, and then you've got who's this guy in the
Vic Star
1 2 3, yeah, 4 5 6. The thing is, this guy at the bottom, he's totally kind of dismissing the concept, and I find it very bizarre and strange. The guy on the bottom right, he seems like his fitrah's in place, where he's saying, I would feel like at ease knowing that God created us. That's the fitrah speaking to me, yeah? By fitrah is the innate disposition that we believe as Muslims were created to acknowledge God. For them to look at the universe and be amazed, that facial expressions to me is the fitrah kicking in and saying, wow. The guy at the top, which we're going to come to him later, Christian, he believes in God anyways, yeah? But how do you feel, both of you, I want to ask you guys a question, yeah, the Dawah men. How do you feel about their reaction? For example, him dismissing it, he's saying that he believes it, and this guy at the bottom, or their whole concept of like this whole God thing of laughing about it.
I think it's interesting psychoanalytically. Obviously, we're not trying to psychoanalyze them, but you can see that there's a discomfort of mentioning the God topic, and even the fact that he's mentioned it, he's laughed after it, almost feeling under pressure, really, from societal expectation, which he knows.
Peer pressure?
Possibly that, but he knows also that the recipients or the end users are going to be mostly agnostic. And God is seen as a funny word now, as seen as a mythological concept. So he thinks that positing it as a response is unintellectual, and he feels embarrassed about it. And this guy, the side boy in the far left, he's just being a fool. I mean, to be honest with you, he's trying to offer something intellectual, but I think he's lacking in all rational ability. Because the thing is, if you think about what he said before, he kind of brushed God as a valid option. He was saying that, well, we have all these things which are just dead things. But then the question would be, then how could life emerge from death? Right? That's the question. And he doesn't seem to understand that God is a reasonable option, or it's a way out of the dilemma that he's facing. It's actually the only option. You're saying, forget about the word God, you can say that a life and an entity which is living and has life and has the ability to endow others with life has done so. That is more befitting as a theory than saying that life comes from death. If you do say that, you're saying that properties which exist in one form could come from something which doesn't have those properties in the first place.
Exactly.
Which is an impossibility.
Exactly. Logically, we're talking.
I'd say he's quite young academically. Maybe this is not something that he's really looked into, and considering he's come from a colonized curriculum in which, let's face it, evolution is something which is heavily promoted, and I mean, the question would be, is he to blame? Well, now that he's actually put this out there, I think the burden of kind of investigation is upon him, because he does have a big audience, and he owes it to his audience to study this stuff, to learn about it, and not just rely on what he's been drip fed with the curriculum that we've spoken and whatever we get from mainstream media. So yeah,
interesting. Okay, so let's finish off with the last bit, because you know what, this bit I want specifically, who's the guy's name on the top right?
Top right is Toby.
Okay, I want to message to Toby, because I know he's going to be watching this.
Guys, I need to go and pray. I'll catch you guys later.
Peace out.
Okay, that shows to me through their reaction how magnificent the creator is, and they see themselves as, absolutely nothing, And when he said, I want to go and pray, I felt like he was overwhelmed by what he saw, and he was like, man, I thought he was a Muslim at first. When I first saw it, I thought this guy's a Muslim, yeah? So I want to send a message to Toby, yeah? Because Toby's a Christian. And Christian, I don't know which denomination you belong to, but I'm sure, again, in our concept, Islamically, there is shirk involved, associating partners to God, which is a massive sin. And Toby, if you're watching this, what you just saw of the universe, how big the universe is, the galaxy, and everything that's in it, as a Christian, you was amazed by God's power. But as a Christian, you associate that to Jesus. Everything that you saw, you're saying, all that was created, everything, Jesus was a part of that. Jesus played a role in the creation because he's God. I want you to understand, and I want everyone to understand as Muslims, because Tawheed is the fundamental principles, and I want to end on this note, is that, can you imagine, and this is why we believe shirk is the most disgusting thing that anyone can ever do, because everything that you saw in that universe, and your little speck and stars and galaxies, and you're being more amazed that it goes out and out and out, and you're saying, oh my gosh, we can't be the only one. It is such a sinful thing, such a disaster that we go and ascribe that to a statue, we go and ascribe that to Jesus, we go and ascribe that to a human being, to a creation. Brothers and sisters, we are asking people, Christians, whoever you are, to worship God alone. What you saw that you was amazed with, that is the creator that is deserving of worship. That is the creator that is deserved of your servitude, brothers and sisters. And that's the reason why, to my Christian brothers and sisters that are watching this, you guys ascribe that to a human being in that speck of creation. You're saying God Almighty, who created all of that, came to that little speck of dust inside and died. Brothers and sisters, thank you, Hijab. It was absolutely a pleasure for your contribution. And Zishan, brothers, one thing we request from you guys and sisters, please send this to the Sidemen and let them watch it, inshallah, from the Dawah men.